Oh wow, this looks nice. Hi, I'm here to check in. Holy Arceus. Please, Arceus, save me. Hello, the 31st here. Welcome back to another character design analysis. Today, we're looking at the characters of the upcoming game, Pokemon Legends ZA. Yes, as of the making of this video, the game isn't out yet. Therefore, it's going to be heavy with speculation and theories about what the designs of these characters might mean. And where better to start than this guy. Everyone who's finished X and Y is familiar with AZ. He's a very memorable character, and one of the best parts of the entire game. Throughout our journey, we learn about his tragic past, and how he changed the entire universe with the ultimate weapon. Finally, in a fantastic post-game event, we even get to battle this living legend. AZ's original design is pretty different from his Plaza one. In X and Y, the former king is a wandering vagabond, and basically dressed as a giant homeless man. Tattered clothes, long, unkempt white hair, and leg warmers on his limbs, presumably because the sleeves of his clothes don't fit his elongated frame. Despite all that, one of his most distinctive features is a massive, elaborate key around his neck. However, this key isn't for a basement, it's for the ultimate weapon, which is why it's no longer present at the end of his design in X and Y, or his new design in Pokemon Legends ZA. Another major difference is his demeanor. Throughout X and Y, right up until he's reunited with his beloved Floette, he is a sullen, grimacing fellow, downtrodden and depressed, living with thousands of years of shame and regret. On the other hand, in Plaza, that's no longer the case. With Floette by his side and a new lease on life, his art and trailer appearances depict a jolly old man just living his best life. Now, with a roof over his head, he's dressed the part of a hotel manager. Being a literal giant, he obviously still can't find clothes in his size, and has instead made a Frankenstein's monster of a suit by stitching together different pieces of clothing. This is a fascinating design element, because not only does it emphasize his freakish frame, but also his financial situation. Despite being immortal royalty, he lives in France, and we kill our kings. Vive la révolution! What I meant to say was, despite being former royalty, the hotel seems to be in a state of disrepair, and he can't afford a suit tailored to fit his body, even though Kalos and especially Lumiose is the home of global fashion. This DIY outfit is a clear sign that he is not a wealthy man. A detail they didn't forget though is the brace on his left knee. He was already wearing it in X and Y, and has now leveled up his handicap with a cane. These show that despite already being extremely old, he is still aging and deteriorating. Even his pose is very telling, going from a low crouch to sitting in an armchair. Since X and Y, his hair also seems to have gotten longer, but at least it's now kept in a nice neat ponytail. They've used some really fun tricks in both of these artworks to show us a sense of scale. In X and Y, he's holding a Pokeball between two fingers like a coin. And in Plaza, he's sitting in an armchair like an adult going back to a primary school, trying to sit in their teeny tiny little chairs. Overall, I think he looks like a friendly old man, tired but content. However, AZ isn't the only character returning from X and Y. Both a personal and fan favourite character who is heavily featured in the pre-release material is Emma, the new head detective of Lumiose City. Back in X and Y, she was just another shabby-looking hobo, wearing an approximation of a school uniform with a shirt, jumper, and skirt. However, her hair was wild and her clothes were also patched and mended. She was very shy and timid, as you can see from her pose. Feet turned inward, shoulders rolled forward, and a sad look on her face. However, Emma had an alter ego, one with a far more confident pose, Essentia. But in Legends ZA, she's practically a different person. Not only is she all grown up, but her whole vibe has changed. Now she stands tall and proud, a big smile on her face. Her hair is cut into a tight bob, which is very French, and she wears a cropped jacket to show that she is a detective. Oh, and she's wearing an expansion suit. Yes, an expansion suit. This is not the same one she wore when she was a child. This new version has yellow accents on the legs and gloves, knee pads, a whole different central design, and a megastone built into the chest, none of which were present in the original version. Which begs the question, who created this new suit? The original version was created by Emma's surrogate father figure, Zorosic, whose fate is currently unknown. At the end of X and Y, he was taken away by Looker, but it didn't seem as though he was being arrested. It's possible that he's now a member of the International Police, supporting Emma with inventions and gadgets. While seemingly too generous a fate for such a heinous criminal, he wouldn't be the only former member of Team Flare to receive a second chance in Plaza. Our final returning character is Mable. Mable is another character from X and Y who has had what we in the industry call a glow-up, going from a cartoony villain design that made her look like a B-movie alien to a dignified and respectable Pokemon professor. Mable has taken over Sycamore's office in his absence and will act as his replacement in this game. And with a new role comes a new outfit. Sporting a pair of blue AR-looking glasses, similar to the ones the Green Ranger was wearing in X and Y, as well as the lab coat identifying her as the professor. Her hair is largely the same, but for some reason it doesn't look as stupid now. Maybe it's because the loops don't hang on the side of her head like giant floppy ears, but are instead tastefully resting on her shoulders. She's also traded the blue lipstick in for red, which I think works a lot better, even if she's kept the blue nail polish. Mable is also wearing a tight black dress with an interesting red and yellow design on it. I don't know if it means anything or not, the only thing I can think of is that it might be related to Team Flare. Lastly, she's kept her blue tie from her old outfit, and is now wearing a different but still very high-heeled pair of shoes. An element of her design that may or may not have been represented back in X and Y are the huge bags under her eyes. They are clearly visible in both the artwork and trailers, making me wonder why she's so tired. It's evident that she spends long nights working until the wee hours of the morning, but what could she be working on? Might it be related to the mega phenomenon happening in Lumiose? Could she be looking for the missing professor? Or might it be something more nefarious? After all, she makes no effort to hide her past in Team Flare, having her old visor on the desk with a Team Flare laptop and gaming chair. Whatever the reason, it's cool to see some familiar faces. That said, we've also been introduced to a whole set of brand new characters that also look pretty interesting. Working at Hotel Z to support a Z are our rival/friend characters, Tawny and Urbane. In your journey, you will encounter one of these two based on the character model that you choose to play as. They are essentially just palette-swapped versions of the player characters, having the same hairstyles and faces. Both Tawny and Urbane share some features that are quite interesting. Firstly, their yellowy orange hair. This colour is very distinctive, potentially hinting to parents with blonde and red hair. Some specific elements that stand out to me are the male's bangs and how both of their hairs swoop at the end. I'm not the first person to suggest that these features are quite reminiscent of Professor Sycamore's hairstyle. With the Professor being seemingly absent from the game for suspicious reasons, it could explain why these kids hang out with a Z, and could potentially hint towards their reason for participating in the ZA Royale. Perhaps it's to find their father. And that might also have something to do with why they're at odds with their potential mother. The other feature of their hair that I can't help but notice is a very strange cowlick. A feature they both have in common with a certain blonde CEO. If the head of Quasartico and the professor are married with kids, but have opposing goals, it could potentially cause a lot of drama. I couldn't help but notice that when we go visit Jet in the trailer, we do so with Tawny or Urbane. Why would the CEO of a massively busy company be meeting random kids, one of whom has literally just arrived in the city? Obviously, given their design the same but with brown hair, it's also possible, and maybe more likely, that Sycamore is the player's parent, which means that red hair could come from someone else. Both kids have a very cool urban sense of style. Urbane is very casual, wearing a Pokeball t-shirt and sweatpants, and with his pose it kind of looks like he's just gotten out of bed, while Tawny is more stylish in a red cropped turtleneck and short jean shorts with a cool belt. To complete their design, both wear a sweet brown jacket. It's an interesting design with a blue collar that gives off pilot vibes. If this is a pilot jacket, it would be another connection to the woman literally named Jet. On the back is a desert camo looking logo with a torn patch that could either be a sign that the jacket has seen some action, or that these are just cool kids in a pre-torn coat. If Sycamore is the player's dad, then this jacket could be a memento from our rival's real father, whoever and wherever they are. But Tawny and Urbane aren't our only friends in this game. We are on Team MZ with two other members, Naveen and Leader. Naveen seems like quite a shy kid, but he's also just as down to rumble as anyone else in our little gang. He has dark skin and purple eyes, and dreads that fall into these sort of lightning bolt shapes. In his hair are orange beads that really pop. Based on his appearance, if I had to point to anyone from X and Y that he could be related to, I'd suggest Grant and Olympia. Grant for the zigzagging hair with colourful stuff in it, and Olympia for her purple eyes and thin brows. Naveen is a very stylish guy, which makes sense as he's currently training in the field, which you can tell from the scissors attached to his left arm. This might potentially connect him to another Kalos gym leader, the fairy-type specialist, Valerie, a fashion designer who could be his mentor. Naveen seems to be a dark-type specialist using multiple dark types in the trailers. I think it would create a really interesting parallel with Valerie, who's this bright, over-the-top fairy queen. He wears a white Team MZ jacket with multiple graffiti-inspired designs, including a black and red flame on the right sleeve and a scrafty on his back. Underneath, he wears a black shirt with a white collar, an orange jumper, and a green tie with an Aegis/tie clip on it. This tie could potentially connect him to Team Flare's Bryony, though I'm not sure what the connection would actually be, besides the fact they both use dark types. His Japanese name is Pyuru, meaning pure, while his English name is derived from naive or sort of new. Maybe pure for pure evil, or pure for pure of heart to oppose his dark typing. In other languages, his name is derived from innocence and virginity, so I'm going to go with the latter. His body language in this game is a little weird compared to the other kids. He's serious, fists always clenched and chin tucked, and he just never smiles. It gives the vibe that something's going on with this kid. Maybe he's not had a great upbringing. I don't know, he's just always tense and never happy. But that makes him all the more intriguing. It also creates a great juxtaposition with our final Team MZ crewmate, Leader. Leader is the opposite of Naveen, right? She's lively and fun. We see her bouncing in a rhythmic fashion as she battles. She does this because she's a dancer, something I think that her key art does an amazing job showing off. Here, her pose is just so dynamic and joyful. She wears an oversized blue Team MZ hoodie, a white choker, and a sheer dance top with a star U on it, a Pokemon that we see her battle with in the trailer. As both Naveen and Leader have Mega Rings, it's a popular theory that both Scrafty and Starmie are going to receive Mega Evolutions in this game. And I think I have to agree with that. To continue the dance aesthetic, she wears yellow and white tights or leggings with 80s style ankle warmers, and what I can only describe as moon shoes. Leader seems to be depicted as more visually Asian than her Euro-coded companions, and shares many similar features with X and Y's Tierno. Both have similar eye shapes, a 3-point tuft of black hair, overall very similar colour palettes, and of course, their shared love of dance. This has led many people to suspect that they might be related. Most likely siblings or cousins, as I'm just not sure the timeline makes sense for that kid to now be a father. Another feature of Leader's design that might be related to Tierno is the double dice motif that she has all throughout it. In her hair, on her hoodie, on her ears, as well as on her shoes. This pattern is very curious, and I'm not sure what it relates to, except that it could be to connect her with Tierno, whose t-shirt features a vanillite with a sort of diamond-shaped pattern on it. The final connection may be their names. Tierno is a Spanish word meaning tender, while Leader and her Japanese name Duro are also of Spanish origin, meaning hard, solid, or strong. Overall, I think it's just kind of cool to see such a diverse group of people in a Pokemon game. I kind of had something similar, but this one feels even more multicultural. Given that this is a capital city based on Paris, it makes sense for this to be a sort of melting pot of people and ideas. With the connection to Tierno, Trevor having orange hair, and Shauna being, well, not black, but at least darker than the other characters, the two groups do have a lot of similarity, and I can't completely rule out the idea that they might all be the kids of the old crew. But of course, this game isn't exclusively going to contain friendly and supportive characters. We've also been introduced to a whole lineup of potential antagonists. Which brings us neatly back to the well-dressed CEO that we met earlier. Jet runs Quasartico Inc, the company in charge of the urban redevelopment of Lumiose City. She's first introduced to us with her secretary, Vinny, a burly-looking fellow who doesn't really scream desk jockey. The two make quite an interesting pair. Jet is dynamic and full of movement, dressed in light colours and blonde with very fair skin. This makes Vinny stand out all the more as he remains completely motionless, dressed in a black suit with opposing physical features. Vinny looks much more like a bodyguard or a member of the Men in Black than a secretary. He's wearing black shades, a sharp dark suit with a double-breasted jacket adorned with gold buttons and a pin of the Quasartico logo. This type of jacket has deep ties to the military, originally being donned by members of the British Navy in the 19th century who used the overlapping closures to protect themselves from the cold sea air. Later, in the 1930s and 40s, it became popular with the upper crust of society as a symbol of wealth and masculinity. To break the silhouette-esque look of his body, Vinny is also wearing a green shirt, green Doc Martens, and a pair of green gloves with a megastone on the left palm. These gloves are a very interesting piece of his design. They are thick with padding over the fingers and knuckles, a fact that leads my mind down 3 possible paths. Firstly, these could be tactical gloves that a member of the modern armed forces would wear. This would connect well with his military-inspired design and his posture in the trailer, seen either standing with his hands behind his back in a martial fashion or with his arms folded across his chest. The second possibility is that these could be associated with a potential fighting type speciality. His official artwork makes this even clearer, with him pulling the gloves on tight in a let's get down to business kind of motion, equivalent in visual storytelling to like rolling up your sleeves. One of the crucial details that supports this idea is in his hair. Vinny has little soft toys of fighting type Pokemon, Pancham and Baneri, whose evolution has a fighting type Mega form. This tells us a few things. Number 1, he might be a fighting type trainer. 2, that he might have a Mega Lopunny or even Mega Pangoro on his team. And 3rd, that he might have a soft side hidden underneath all of that stern exterior. After all, he is wearing soft toys of these really cute first stage evolutions. Now, obviously, that idea is not totally disconnected from the military idea, but this final one is very out there. If the gloves aren't for combat, maybe they're motorcycle gloves. Welcome to Pokemon 5Ds. Nuts. Now, I know we basically just got this in Scarlet and Violet, right? We were already literally playing Pokemon on motorcycles. But what if that was just a taste of the mechanics for this game? A Pokemon game where we both battle while riding around on a sick pair of wheels. And I know what you're thinking, right? If it was just this guy, I probably wouldn't even mention it. But we do see another tough guy in these trailers with a motor-themed design. I mean, look at this guy. He's practically a living motorbike. I want to see these two shred the tarmac at 160 miles an hour. Speaking of speed, there's one final element of his design that makes Vinny such a fascinating mystery. He has definitely styled himself to look like Rayquaza. With green in his outfit and those sideburns, it's undeniable. Not to mention, he works for Quasartico Inc. There is definitely a connection, which begs the question, what the hell are these two really planning? Look at them in the cover art, standing ominously on a shadowy rooftop. These two are very suspicious individuals. If they are villains, and if Jet is the mother or grandmother of our pals, then this could be a very interesting story. Now, if we look more closely at Jet's design, we can see that she seems like a very pleasant, well put together older woman. She's a greying blonde with a metallic blue streak running through her hair, which is styled in a quasar-ish coif. She has neat, straight eyebrows, golden eyeshadow, big, dark, pointed lashes, and piercing, two-tone blue eyes. A few lines by her mouth show her age, and red lips give us a slight smile. On her ears, she wears golden, crescent-shaped earrings. Jet wears a high-end, fashionable yet business-appropriate, cropped, long-sleeved blazer with an enormous crescent-shaped lapel that kinda looks like Mega Salamancer's wings. The jacket is adorned with the same Quasartico pin and golden buttons as Vinny's, possibly an indication that they are from the same designer or tailor. This kind of outfit once again has its roots in masculinity and the military, once reserved for the Anglo-Saxon upper class before becoming a symbol of female empowerment around the world. It's possibly a reference to Le Smoking, created in 1966 by the coutureur Yves Saint Laurent, given the French theme of the game. The jacket sits atop a matching dress covered in the same silvery Quasartico pattern. Gold and silver are massive parts of this design and contrast each other beautifully while offering an obvious image of wealth. Possibly also a reference to the Johto games, not that I've seen any evidence of that yet. Her nails are also painted gold, she has a silver or white smartwatch on her wrist, and finally, she has a wedding ring. The last time we saw something like this, to my knowledge, was on Melanie's finger in Sword and Shield. When I look at their designs, they actually have a lot in common. They are both older women with a single streak of colour in their hair, blue eyes, and a wedding ring. Melanie's ring was sort of just shorthand to show that she was a mother, as we never saw or even heard about her husband, Gordy's father, Gordy, who has blonde and silver blue hair, mind you. Therefore, this could be something similar. Maybe just a way of visually telling us that the character has children, even if we never see her husband. I also find it interesting that Jet's ring is a metallic nut, possibly an indication that she has a steel-type speciality. I can totally see her with a Goldengo on her team, and maybe even a Melmetal. A steel typing would again connect her to Melanie and Gordy, who also use mineral Pokemon. I'm not sure what the connection would actually be, but I think they're interesting comparisons. Lastly, she's wearing golden black high heels, again with a crescent design. This crescent is a very prominent theme in her design, and it certainly raises a lot of questions. I can't wait to find out what Quasartico's whole deal is, especially as they clearly aren't the only possible antagonists we're going to need to deal with to defend Lumiose City. More recent trailers introduced us to the Rust Syndicate and their fan-favourite boss, Corbeau. Corbeau, whose name literally translates to crow in French, is a very serious-looking, Asian-coded man dressed in a sharp suit with a decidedly poisonous aesthetic. While usually maintaining a calm demeanour, he is clearly a dangerous man. In the trailer, we see some fantastic animations where his well-hidden rage spills out across his face, veins popping and everything. But there are a lot of elements at play here, and it's honestly hard to explain them succinctly, so I think I'll just make a list instead. There's Kitakami, Hisui, the Yakuza, and snakes. Without a doubt, Corbeau has links to a Japanese-inspired region. There is a distinct shape to his eyes that sets him apart from the other trainers in the European-inspired region, similar to what they did with Kabu in Sword and Shield. Corbeau's eyes are this frightening yellow, which combined with his purple hair, has many people believing that he could be related to Carmine and Kieran. And clearly, there is some connection between Corbeau and Kitakami. His whole look is unmistakably similar to Phesandipites, from the gooping poison chain that he has on his glasses, to the black and purple suit jacket complete with poison droplets, and the final nail in the coffin, the brown and purple inner lining that matches Phesandipites' design exactly. Additionally, we see the Rust Syndicate base in the trailer. It has bamboo growing on the outside and inside. Inside is additionally a Zen garden with sliding Japanese doors depicting Steelix. In his office is a huge King Gambit statue, a Pokemon exclusively found in Kitakami, as well as a giant shogi piece, which is probably what King Gambit is based off, despite in English them having chess-related names. But Kitakami isn't the only Japanese-inspired place that Corbeau has a connection to. There is a second Pokemon statue in his office, and this one is of an Overquill, a Pokemon native to and only found in the historical region of Hisui. This ancient region is the one that we explored as a part of the Galaxy Expedition team in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Both groups' HQs have a statue of Weezing on the outside, and if that's just a coincidence, I would be shocked. Especially as the Galaxy Core has a symbol remarkably close to that of the Rust Syndicate. Both teams wear a diamond-shaped Camon on their clothes, a symbol of their loyalty. And while the Galaxy people have many different shapes depending on their core, I do find it interesting that Rust's one is the same shape as the one that we wore as a member of the Expedition team in the past. However, this symbol isn't just a possible connection to Hisui and a Megastone, it's also a clear sign of the type of organization the Rust Syndicate actually is. One of organized crime. Corbeau and the Rust Syndicate are obviously inspired by the Yakuza, the mafia of Japan. One of the most famous Yakuza families, the Yamabishi, wore this family crest known as the Yamaguchi Gumi, which is very similar to the Rust Camon. More generally, the idea of these gangsters portraying themselves as legitimate businessmen while clearly being made up of a bunch of goons in suits is a telling sign. In the 1990s, some Yakuza did start wearing very flashy suits and colourful styles, and I think Corbeau's fit perfectly balances the line between serious business and with the high-waisted trousers and purple slip-on shoes, it is definitely giving Asian mob boss in style. In the trailer, Corbeau makes reference to business that he has with Team MZ, so it will be interesting to see how this possible criminal is related to our group of protagonists. When we visit Corbeau, it is Leader who joins us, so maybe there is a family connection. After all, Corbeau does have these two diamonds on his glasses. The last major theme of this group is maybe one that ties into their ethos as well as their aesthetic: snakes and serpents. Snakes are widely seen as creatures of evil, cunning, and deceit. In Japan, they have a very mixed heritage. Being a common presence in the lives of Japanese people all throughout history, they appear as both positive and negative forces, often seen as emblems of death and rebirth. This highlights an interesting connection between the X and Y Aura trio and the Serpentine Zygarde, who will surely play a huge role in this game. Snakes have deep ties to dragons in Japan, and as such have absorbed their symbolism as creatures of good fortune and prosperity. Both are possible themes at play with a Yakuza group. The only other connection I can find between snakes and the Yakuza is the Snake Flower Triad from the Yakuza series of games, so maybe this pays homage to that as well. The reason that I'm saying that the Rust Syndicate are connected to snakes and serpents is that they are everywhere in their base. Not literally, although Corbo does have an Arbok, one he will likely Mega Evolve given his Mega Stone. It's also possible that his tie is meant to represent Sandaconda, being white with black markings. The male goons all have matching styles, including a shirt with purple snakes on it. The female goons have grey shirts with a 3-point shape on it, similar to Corbo's glasses. This might be a sort of caltrop to show a possible steel typing and/or a symbol of them being a triad. All the goons wear black jackets with the Camon on the back and a Camon pin on the front like Corbo, just without the Megastone. The steel typing could also be very important to the Rust Syndicate. Obviously, the name invokes the idea of metal and corrosion, which would link together poison and steel types. And then there's this guy. As of right now, we don't know his name, but he seems like Corbo's right-hand man, and given his size, probably his bodyguard and muscle. And I mean, he clearly has a metal theme going on. He has big metal staples in his jacket, a chainmail looking shirt, and a biker vibe including a tie and haircut that look like tire treads. He too has a Megastone on his Camon, which means he's clearly going to be a strong and important trainer. However, I think his Mega Pokemon, or at least one of them, might be a surprise to many. This pocket square in the form of yellow sails is just too similar to Mega Gyarados for me to not think that he wouldn't have that giant watery serpent on his team. Thank you very much for watching, and a massive thank you to Commander Z for editing this video. They are the only reason you're watching it right now, so please type "Thank you Z" in the comments to show your appreciation. While you're down there, let me know if I missed anything or what your favourite fact was.